Get ready for a rollicking adventure with Barnaby the Bull and the Brave Little Goat. When a gentle bull needs a hiding spot, he finds himself in a hilarious predicament with a very pushy goat. Who knew facing a lion would be easier than dealing with a tiny, headstrong friend?
One sunny morning, Barnaby the Bull grazed contentedly in a vibrant green meadow, enjoying the sweet, fresh grass. He loved the peaceful quiet, the gentle breeze rustling through the tall blades. Barnaby was a truly enormous bull, the largest creature in the meadow, his brown coat shining like polished mahogany. He sometimes closed his kind, deep brown eyes, savoring the warmth of the sun on his broad back. It was a perfect day for a magnificent bull like Barnaby. Suddenly, a flash of golden fur caught Barnaby's eye at the edge of the forest. It was Leo the lion, known for his thunderous roar and sharp claws. Leo, a truly formidable hunter, was much smaller than Barnaby in bulk but incredibly swift. A shiver ran down Barnaby's strong spine as Leo's emerald green eyes fixed on him with a hungry gaze. This was no time for leisurely grazing. This was a time for quick thinking and even quicker running. Barnaby, his heart suddenly thrumming like a drum, knew he had to act fast. He lowered his massive head slightly and began to gallop, his mighty hooves pounding the earth. The ground trembled beneath his powerful strides as he ran as swiftly as his large body allowed. He wasn't running from a challenge, but from a desperate situation. His kind eyes, usually so calm, now held a sparkle of urgent flight. Ahead, Barnaby spotted a welcoming dark opening in the side of a hill. A cave. It was a shelter often used by local goat herds during stormy weather. With a surge of renewed hope, the grand bull rushed towards the shadowy entrance. He squeezed his enormous body, with gleaming chocolate-brown fur and impressive horns, through the narrow opening. Inside, the air was cool and still, a stark contrast to the hot pursuit outside. Just as Barnaby, the enormous bull, let out a soft sigh of relief, a grumpy bleat echoed through the cave. He turned his deep brown eyes to find himself not alone. Standing there, with a territorial sparkle in his amber eyes, was a medium-sized, shaggy white goat. This was Gus the goat, and he was quite a bit smaller than Barnaby, only reaching the bull's shoulder. Gus, already feeling brave and a bit mischievous, was clearly not happy about the intruder. Gus the goat, with his short, pointy black horns, lowered his head with a defiant snort. He took a few quick steps and then charged, ramming Barnaby's solid, chocolate-brown side with a surprisingly firm thud. Barnaby, a grand bull, was utterly shocked by the small goat's audacity. How could such a small creature be so bold? It was a peculiar greeting, to say the least, and not at all what Barnaby had expected inside his safe haven. Barnaby sighed, a low rumble escaping his chest. He was a powerful bull, strong enough to toss the small goat with a flick of his head. But just outside the cave, Leo the golden-maned lion was still prowling, his emerald green eyes gleaming. Leo, a magnificent beast, was patiently waiting, hoping Barnaby would eventually emerge. If Barnaby retaliated against Gus, the noise might alert Leo to the perfect opportunity. The bull found himself in a clever predicament. Barnaby knew he couldn't fight both the lion and the goat at the same time. He had to be smart, not just strong. His kind, deep brown eyes scanned the cave entrance, where Leo's imposing silhouette occasionally passed. The enormous bull took a deep, steady breath, reminding himself of the greater danger. Gus the goat, though annoying, was simply a nuisance compared to the hungry lion outside. Wisdom, not raw power, would guide him here. Barnaby looked down at the persistent Gus, a low rumble escaping his massive chest. Hours slowly passed, each one feeling longer than the last. Barnaby, the enormous bull, remained perfectly still, his powerful body conserving energy. Leo the lion, the magnificent hunter, grew impatient outside, his low growls echoing softly near the entrance. Eventually, seeing no movement and hearing nothing from within, Leo let out a big sigh and turned away, his golden mane disappearing into the distance. The threat had finally subsided. With the danger gone, Barnaby, the grand bull, slowly and carefully emerged from the cave. The sunlight felt wonderfully warm on his thick, chocolate-brown fur. He stretched his powerful legs, feeling a sense of immense relief wash over him. The big bull looked around the familiar meadow, where wildflowers swayed gently in the breeze. He had faced a difficult choice, and he had chosen wisely. Barnaby, the enormous bull, then turned his kind, deep brown eyes towards Gus, who had followed cautiously out of the cave. Gus the goat, the little shaggy white goat with short, pointy horns, looked a bit smaller and less defiant now, his amber eyes avoiding Barnaby's gaze. The little goat finally understood the bull's earlier words. Barnaby gave a gentle nod, silently reminding Gus of the lesson learned. Barnaby simply let out a soft snort, a sound of understanding rather than anger. He had made his point without needing to use his immense strength. Gus, the little shaggy white goat, realized that facing a shared threat had put things into perspective. Sometimes true wisdom was knowing when to hold your power back. Barnaby, the giant bull, walked away feeling content, knowing he had taught Gus a valuable lesson about patience and smart choices. And so, Barnaby the bull continued his day, a little wiser and perhaps a little more respected. He knew that true strength wasn't just about how powerful you were. It was also about knowing when to be patient, when to forgive, and when to use your smarts instead of your muscles. Gus the goat, having learned his lesson, promised to be more mindful of his manners and surroundings from that day on. It was a day where everyone, big and small, learned something important about handling tricky situations.
Ever dreamed of being the hero? Now you get to be the star. Your adventure starts at TalesMio. Visit talesmio.com now.